Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, stories from the 78 at the Venus Cabaret at the Mercury Theater here in the Lakeview neighborhood, Southport corridor. I have an amazing story about a journey from Nigeria right here to Chicago, all through entertainment, comedy, late night talk shows, and stand-up comedians. So that's happening Saturday here, the Great Gatsby Show. I'm going to talk to Gabriel now for this story from the 78 from the Venus Cabaret. All right, so the show has not started yet, but we are behind the scenes, or actually in front of the scenes here at the Venus Cabaret. And I'm here with my friend Gabriel. How are you, sir?
Doing good, and you?
I'm doing well, and we've been emailing for a while. We have, I don't know where, I remember finding your story about your show here at the Venus Cabaret at the Mercury Theater right here on Southport in the Lakeview neighborhood, or Southport corridor, whatever people call it these days. But tell folks about your show, because I think it's super fascinating and interesting.
So I thought of the idea around December of last year, and I reached out to a couple of theater about doing like a late night show style kind of like show where we can have like musicians and comedians and just have like a really fun show, somewhere people can go to in Chicago on a Saturday night. I also thought it was really important that I have a platform to talk to people here in Chicago, like prominent people like you, like senators, and I thought like, oh, we can have something like this, and we can have somewhere people want to go on a Saturday night, and I think it was really important to me that I create something that's really good. When you go to an Apple store and you're like, oh, take my money.
Yeah, sure.
That was really important to me. So I worked on the lineup. I worked on who I could book and all that. So yeah, it's it's a dream come true in a way. I'm really happy for having this platform. It's really connected me to a lot of people. I wouldn't even have met you if not for this platform. So
Yeah.
It's been really great having this platform.
The name of the show.
The name of the show is the Great Gatsby Show.
Right, but there's a little play on the name, right? Just because of you.
Yeah, basically.
I think it's a great story. That's why I wanted to ask.
Yeah, it is because of me. But what the show is really about is me booking the greats, all of the greats. That's what when I host the show tomorrow, I'm gonna be like, oh, welcome to the stage. Coming to the stage is one of the greats. That's all the introduction everybody's gonna get. So it's not really about me. I just want to. Steve Jobs said he likes working with 18 players. I like working with people that really are good at what they do. I like working with busy people because busy people always get things done.
Absolutely to that. And I think people probably are figuring out that maybe you didn't grow up in Chicago based on your accent. And you couldn't probably grew up further away from Chicago than South Africa.
Yeah.
But you were in the entertainment industry out there. You worked on late night shows.
Yeah.
You worked in events. So this isn't something new to you, which is something new here to do in Chicago. So what made you come to Chicago to start this here?
Well, I was working for a late night show there, so I had an opportunity to come here to take a creative writing class at a second city, and I fell in love with the city.
Yeah, I heard they know what they're doing there.
Yeah, I am I love the city. I moved here in the summer. I'm like, this is beautiful. And yeah, I know I do sound like a Uber driver, but
No. I just mean that you don't sound like a typical Chicagoan who grew up here.
No, I know. It's just it's a joke.
But that's okay. But no, it's okay. It's great because there's so many people that are from Chicago that have all different kinds of accents.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I love Chicago. I think the city fell in love with me first.
Yeah.
Then I fell in love with the city. It's where else would somebody like me, get this kind of opportunity? I couldn't get it anywhere else. My brother was visiting me from Europe in June with his wife, and they went downtown, and they've been to 40 countries all over the world. And I took them downtown, and they were like, and I was like, is there anything like this in Europe? And they were like, nothing like this in Europe. This is beautiful. They fell in love with the city too. And Frank Sinatra said, it's my kind of town. People are really super nice here. The Midwest hospitality do really exist. You just feel it. People are just naturally kind and wonderful here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we cultivate people who work hard. And you mentioned that you like to work with busy people because busy people get it done.
Yeah.
And there have been many comics, actors, writers, what have you, that started in this neighborhood,
Yeah.
down in Old Town at Second City,
Yeah.
or whoever, and have gone on to things that you now watch on Netflix or HBO or what have you, or in a movie theater. So, you know, you mentioned your brother coming to Chicago.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the world's best kept secret, this city, because a lot of people think about Chicago when they hear about the United States or
Yeah.
Los Angeles and New York, and they're like, well, I want to go to New York or Los Angeles. Why would I go to the middle of the country? What's there? Well, this is here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is interesting that you like, you know, phrase it that way, because he was like thinking about going to New York City as well, and I'm like, oh yeah, New York is fun. New York has its own vibe, but Chicago is just like such a it's like you said, it's like an Eden gem. Like people like there's so many talented people here. It's one of the reasons I created the show. I'm like, we have so much funny people here. People need to know about these comics. I'm thinking like maybe in the next 5 years, I have this show becomes so huge that, you know, it attracts more people to Chicago because of the show. Like people, we can book like people from New York. Actually, right now I'm booking people from New York. We have Jordan Rock. It's like it's Chris Rock brother. He's gonna be on our next show. Like if I didn't have this platform, you would never even respond to me. But I sent him a message, and he's like, "Oh, he saw like what we've done in the past. He saw a previous lineup. He saw a current lineup. Like, oh, I'm booking comics from HBO. I'm booking comics from Comedy Central."
Which is incredible that
Yeah.
you're doing it. And I imagine it's just that you called them. Like some
Yeah.
people are just afraid to do that, bare minimum, right? Like people are intimidated. They think no right away. And
Yeah.
you strike me as a person that doesn't take no for an answer.
I can be very persistent.
Uh-huh.
And my wife would say like he's very like I can be like, if I really want to get something done, I try to think of myself as like a problem solver. I think hosting the show also like made me realize that, you know, you have to think on your feet all the time. Like, you know, you don't you know, stop going somewhere because there's a traffic, you know, somewhere. You have to find a way around that traffic. You don't go back home because there's a traffic. So I've always had this mindset that you have to find a way to solve the problem. And, you know, I work with like some comics that, you know, help me with certain things, and it's really made my job easier. And I love hosting and producing this show because, you know, I think at the end of the day, I'm not really doing it for me. I'm doing it for like the musicians in this state. I'm doing it for the comics. I'm like, you know, in a way, we are trying to like help people. They're going to be bartenders here on the show. So we're helping people in a way, a lot of people. And, you know, I want to produce something that, you know, that would also inspire more people to have more production like this.
Absolutely.
So that we can have like an industry yet. I think that's what Chicago is lacking right now. We don't really have an industry like they have in LA, but we have too many talents.
Yeah,
We
I would
yeah,
agree. A
so-
lot of people come here to get their start, then they leave. You know,
Yeah.
they don't stay to build that industry
Because there's-
a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping like this inspire more people to have more production like this.
It's inspiring just to listen to you tell this story as a person who grew up here. You know, Chicago has that can-do attitude, like you tell us that we can't, we show you we will type of people. But
Yeah.
you coming from another country and having all those barriers to do it and then have people want to be part of it, it just speaks a lot about you and about the kind of show that you put together, because you're not doing this to do it half-assed. You know what I mean?
No.
You're doing it
Yeah.
full, and you're doing it with your heart and your soul and your passion, which is something that I can really respect.
Yeah, when the first thing I thought about when I started this was like, okay, this is going to be a great show, and I think I want it attached to certain brands. So I emailed like maybe close to 1,000 people
Holy cow.
seeking sponsorship. At first, we only got one reply, and we had one sponsor for our first show. Now we have like 5 sponsors. So it was really hard, but I worked really hard. I just felt like, you know, we have to brand this and make it really good. We have to make this like a top-notch production, which is like very, like doing this right now is really, it's like a dream come true in a way. Because when I was 25 years old, I just parked my backpack. I had like 2 shirts, 1 pants, and the Bible. I used to be super religious, and I left Nigeria and I flew to South Africa. The only person I knew there was not even living in Johannesburg at the time. I didn't even know that much about South Africa at the time. It was living in a place so far away from Johannesburg. And I only had that backpack, and I lived there for like 10 years. And I just wanted to, so I remember calling my dad, like, oh, I'm in South Africa. And he was like, what? Like, I saw you last night. And he was like, what's happening? I'm like, I just feel like there's something out there for me. Like, I just want to chase the unknown.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it was like, okay. And, you know, I'm right here in front of you now, and all of this is like a dream come true in a way, because I just, like, you know, I chased the unknown. I saw things that that nobody could see at the time, you know. I stayed there for like 10 years, and now I'm in Chicago. I'm producing a show in the third largest city in America.
Yeah.
Like, along the way, a lot of people have helped me and, you know, been supportive. But Chicago has really shown me love like no other place in the entire universe. I love Chicago.
And hopefully we can keep doing that tomorrow at the show.
Yeah.
What time does the show start?
The show starts around 7 p.m.
7 p.m. at the Venus Cabaret Theater inside of the Mercury Theater right on Southport. Where can people buy tickets?
They can get ticket at www.mercurytheaterchicago.com. Yeah, they can get tickets there. I think that we have some tickets there available.
And the Great Gatsby Show.
Yeah, the Great Gatsby Show.
And you're hosting it.
I'm hosting.
Are you doing any stand-up in it?
Yeah, I'm doing stand-up. I'm going to be doing stand-up like maybe like a 10, 15-minute set. And
To kind of start the evening?
Yeah, to start the evening, we have like so what we usually do, I start with like, I bring like some musicians, they perform, entertain the crowd, and then after they're done, somebody brings me on stage. I do like my 15-minute set, and we have like intermission. We have an interview segment, and we are going to be giving close to like $400 in vouchers. Tomorrow, one of our sponsors giving us a voucher worth about $200. It's good for like 6 people. First Accent Climbing Fitness.
Oh,
and,
fun.
And also our other sponsor, Energy, Restorative and Holistic Care. They also giving us a voucher. So like, it's gonna be a fun show. It's usually like, the last one was really fun, which is what inspired me to like keep on going. It was so much fun. People had a good time. We also usually like end the show by doing an after party at River North at Celeste. So it's like a fun time. Yeah, I just wanted to create something that, you know, people will be like, oh, you want to go to Great Gatsby Show on a Saturday? You know, something like that. Like, oh, I'll go there, because even if I'm giving my money away, like I said, when you go to an Apple store, like, take my money.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're giving me good stuff. Like, you know, yeah, it's like, I spend so much time trying to make sure this is really good. Like, I would go to like comedy clubs every night, just watching comics.
You're in a good city for that,
yeah. Watching like comics after comics after comics. I think before we started, I went to like the Laugh Factory for like 6 months straight, just looking at watching all the comics that I'm like, oh, this guy is good, and I just started booking them. And I make sure that, you know, my lineup is always inclusive. I have like the LGBTQ community in there, people of color. You know, it's really hard for like, also like for women to get booked in Chicago for some reason. I don't know why. So I always make sure I book a lot of women as well. And yeah, it's a very weird community, because there are more men in the industry. So it's really hard. So sometimes you just like always make sure, like, you know, you are inclusive in everything you're doing, like, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, again, you sound inspiring just talking to you. Can people follow you on social media? Do you have a spot where they can find you?
They can follow us on the Great Gatsby Show. Yeah, that's where all our stuff are. Like, you know, yeah.
Okay.
You can find me on social media. Yeah, on the Great Gatsby Show. Yeah, we are always like looking for people to come to our show. So we are thinking of so many things. We are thinking about merchandising and all that, and, you know, getting more sponsors.
Sure.
You know, we still want to make this better, and eventually we are right now just taking things slow, and eventually taking to the big theater here, and just like, you know, that's something. I can't even. Like I said, I'm also like producing another show at Second City, which is like crazy. It's like
You're
producing
busy.
2 shows in the 3rd largest city in America. And when you think about my journey, like taking that flight from Nigeria to South Africa, if somebody showed me all of these things in the future, I would tell them they're out of their mind.
That's the beauty of the story. We'll have to stick around from when you write your book in a couple of years about all your successes.
It's very interesting. So my boss reached out to me like 2 weeks ago, and he goes, "Gatsby, you should write a book."
Yeah, you should.
And
It's
I'm
already
like-
interesting, and you're just getting started.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe I should do that. Then I reached out to like some publishing firm, and a lot of people like, "Oh, we like your story. If you can start writing, we'll be interested in selling it." I'm like, okay.
Well, that's
Like,
the hard part, the writing it down part, right?
The hard part is not writing it. The hard part is like I'm producing like 2 shows right
Yeah,
now.
time.
So I started writing it. So I'm working on it. I have like a Google Docs that I already started writing it. So
Jack of all trades.
no, I do. I don't know. I just live my life like I don't know, like live your life like today might be the last day because you don't know. Like life is like short. I think the reason I got inspired to do this was growing up. I had this friend. He was like a role model. We were the same age, but it was like everything you wanted in a human being. It was like 6 feet tall, 6'3" tall, very handsome, very good looking, very charming, very kind. People loved him. He knew so many people. Like, he was like the kind of guy that would go to China and make friends, even though he doesn't speak any Mandarin. Like, he was very, very charming. And while I was in South Africa, he died.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Tragically. And that really moved me. Like, oh my God, like life is short. I don't know. Like we used to have dreams. Like, oh, you would say, oh, I want to go to like 6 World Cups in this lifetime. We used to like share each other's dream. We share dreams with each other.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, I don't have time. What if like that could have been me? And I mourned his loss for so long. Like it really broke me, but also inspired me. I like it was so like heartbreaking. Like nobody could see it coming. He was the kind of guy you knew was gonna become somebody.
Well, you can live on his legacy by doing what you do. And I'm sure that he would be incredibly proud of what you're doing, let alone a show in Chicago, but just following your dream. And that sounds like that's what you've been doing. You got called to leave Nigeria when you were a young man to just change. So much so that you surprised your dad asking you where you were. So that's incredible. And that takes a lot of guts. It really does. And it sounds like your friend that passed had a lot of guts because it takes a lot to just go and travel and talk to people. For some people, that's the hardest thing to do for them. So to do it with ease, or to make it look like you're doing it with ease, I should say, I'm sure it takes a lot of work and hard times, but to come out here and do this and have your second show here this year, that's a great success. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sometimes I'll just think to myself, and his name is Shinedu, and I'll go like, God, I hope you're proud of me. Even sometimes, even before I don't even think like I just wish. I was speaking to his mom like I think around June, and I was like, I'm sorry. Like it was so heartbreaking that I was so scared to call the mom because I didn't know what to say to her.
I get that.
So I didn't talk to her for like maybe 6 years, and the reason I didn't reach out was because one, I didn't know what to say to her. Two,
Sure.
I knew it was too heartbreaking. So I was just like, when they reach out to me, I'll talk to them. So his brother reached out to me on Facebook, and I was like, can I talk to your mom? And he said, yeah, I don't want to talk to you. I called the mother, and the mother was like, oh, did you see what my son did to us? Like, it was so heartbreaking. Then I just told her, like, I'm really sorry you went through all this, but I wanted you to know that all of his dreams can still happen. Like, he touched so many people's life, and the mom was like, yeah, I didn't even know he was that famous when he died. Like, people knew him. I'm like, yeah, like, he's living all of this dream through us. He's living the dream through me. He's gonna live the dream through your son, and you can still live all those dreams through him. Like, whatever. He was such a kind person that he used for each year, he would organize like a birthday for orphans we go to an orphanage and like celebrate his birthday with the orphans. And so because of, after he died, people continue that tradition now.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, as I'm like, all those things he's doing, you know, he's still living through all of us. And I know there's nothing I can tell you. You probably would never get over this loss, because I'm not even his mom, and I can't get over the loss still. I still mourn him every day.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's one of the reasons I do this. It's one of, like, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm like, don't worry. People are going to name stadium after him. People are going to, like, you know, name hospital after him. All of this dream, all of it will come true, you know. So it's one of the reasons I work hard. It's one of the reasons I'm like, oh, I think he would have been proud of me, because I'm like, man, I'm like, this is what Sinedu should be doing, all of this thing. But I'm like, I guess I'm doing it for him.
You sure are.
Yeah.
And you've been making your own trail. You've been trailblazing ever since, it sounds like, since you at least got to the States, or since you've been to South Africa.
Yeah.
And found your life and found that you wanted to come here, and all the stuff, the research you talked about.
Yeah.
You know, it's an incredible story, and I can't wait to see the show tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, and so thank you for talking to me. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and I just want to show folks, you know, this is the space here, so come on in, fill it up, whatever they have left. Maybe they'll sell you a standing room ticket or what have you. But either way, thanks for listening and talking to both of us. TomBarneshChicago@gmail.com or storiesfromthe78.com. Come on, see about my friend Gabriel here. Thanks a lot. We'll see you later.
Cheers.
Cheers.